Daily Words of God.
Man's corrupt disposition stems from his being poisoned and trampled upon by Satan, from the egregious harm that Satan has inflicted upon his thinking, morality, insight, and sense. It is precisely because these fundamental things of man have been corrupted by Satan and are utterly unlike how God originally created them that man opposes God and does not understand the truth. Thus, changes in man's disposition should begin with changes in his thinking, insight, and sense that will change his knowledge of God and his knowledge of the truth. Those who were born in the most deeply corrupted of all lands are even more ignorant of what God is, or what it means to believe in God. The more corrupted people are, the less they know the existence of God, and the poorer their sense and insight. The source of man's opposition and rebelliousness against God is his corruption by Satan. Because he has been corrupted by Satan, man's conscience has grown numb. He is immoral, his thoughts are degenerate, and he has a backward mental outlook. Before he was corrupted by Satan, man originally followed God and obeyed his words. He was originally of sound sense and conscience, and of normal humanity. After being corrupted by Satan, his original sense, conscience, and humanity grew dull and were impaired by Satan. Thus, he has lost his obedience and love toward God. Man's sense has become aberrant. His disposition has become the same as that of an animal, and his rebelliousness toward God is ever more frequent and grievous. Yet man still neither knows nor recognizes this, and merely blindly opposes and rebels. The revelation of man's disposition is the expression of his sense, insight, and conscience. And because his sense and insight are unsound, and his conscience has grown supremely dull, thus his disposition is rebellious against God. If man's sense and insight cannot change, then changes in his disposition are out of the question, as is being after God's heart. If man's sense is unsound, then he cannot serve God and is unfit for use by God. Normal sense refers to obeying and being faithful to God, to yearning for God, to being unequivocal toward God, and to having a conscience toward God. It refers to being of one heart and mind toward God, and not deliberately opposing God. Those who are of an aberrant sense are not like this. Since man was corrupted by Satan, he has produced conceptions about God, and he has had no loyalty or yearning for God, to say nothing of a conscience toward God. Man deliberately opposes and passes judgments on God, and furthermore hurls invective at him behind his back. Man clearly knows he is God, yet still passes judgments on him behind his back, has no intention of obeying him, and merely makes blind demands and requests of God. Such people who have aberrant sense, are incapable of knowing their own despicable behavior, or of regretting their rebelliousness. If people are capable of knowing themselves, then they have regained a little of their sense. The more people are rebellious against God, but do not know themselves, the more they are of unsound sense.